Welcome back to the GEMS YouTube channel. My name is Shruthi Sankar, and I'm a GEM from Columbus, Georgia. This month's theme is COVID-19. So today we're going to talk about treatments and vaccines that have been developed for the virus. As the pandemic has cost us more and more lives, the demand for a vaccine and treatments have been higher than ever. And though the past months have been tough, we do have some good news for you as new vaccines and treatments are being developed and introduced to the public. I do want to preface by saying that I'm not an expert. This is simply to help you understand the process and make more sense of what you're hearing from the news and experts. I will have some links in the description box as well to the FDA and the CDC so that you can go check those out as well. So here's a brief plan of what we're going to be talking about today. First, we will go over the process of getting vaccines and treatments out and approved. Then we will look at the first FDA-approved treatment for the virus, remdesivir. Then we will go over the vaccines that are being looked at for the virus, as well as what all of this means to us, what we should be doing. So how are even vaccines made? How are they developed? So before we get into talking about vaccines and their development, I just want to go over a few terms that are used a lot when talking about them. The first is efficacy, which refers to how well a vaccine works in a lab. So this means under controlled conditions. The second is effectiveness, which refers to how well a vaccine works in real life or variable conditions. Make sure to keep this in mind. A vaccine may have high efficacy, but it might not have high efficiency. Be sure to listen to your doctors and experts and pay close attention to the words that they're using. So, the typical process for developing a vaccine is shown here. Research can actually take decades, and testing and clinical development can actually take a really long time as well. And in fact, clinical development has 3 phases in itself. And so this is why it takes so long to get vaccines out to the people. So the first, we're going to talk about remdesivir. And remdesivir, or RDV, is an antiviral drug that inhibits the enzyme RNA polymerase in the virus. And RNA polymerase is vital to the process of replication and transcription of genetic material in organisms. If you remember from your biology class, the ability to impede this process could help hinder the growth and pathology of the virus, potentially decreasing the length of hospitalization. And in order to test its effectiveness, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases designed a double-blind clinical trial to evaluate the time to recovery, as they defined in their experiment. The experiment involved 1,062 hospitalized patients with symptoms of COVID-19, ranging from mild, moderate, and severe. The subjects were blindly injected with either the experimental remdesivir or the controlled placebo, which was a standard saline solution. And their condition was rated on a scale from 1 to 8 each day for 29 days. The median time to recovery for those treated with the remdesivir was 10 days compared to 15 days for the placebo group. The odds of clinical improvement by day 15 were statistically higher in the remdesivir group compared to the placebo group. And during the trial, the median time to recovery was lower in the remdesivir group compared to the placebo group. So what does this mean? Patients will quickly be relieved of stress caused by COVID symptoms, reducing a patient's time in the hospital when treated with the remdesivir. So this will help keep hospitals from being overfilled and exhausted. And while remdesivir is not sufficient for all patients suffering from COVID, it's a step in the right direction. So next, we're going to talk about the new kinds of vaccines developed for the virus, starting with Pfizer. Pfizer's vaccine consists of genetic material called mRNA encased in tiny particles. Specifically, phospholipids that shuttle into our cells. From there, it stimulates the immune system to make antibodies that protect against the virus. So, how this works is basically this is a new vaccine, but it's also a new kind of vaccine. So, typically, how vaccines work is that you're given a small part of the virus or a small amount of the virus to the system, the human system, and you develop a immunogenic response to it, meaning that you develop antibodies to fight against the virus. So that small amount or small part is called antigen, and that antigen is what is causing that response to make antibodies. And basically, you have those antibodies, and you know how to recognize that sort of material in your system. That's how you're able to prevent the symptoms of said virus. And here, instead of injecting the antigen itself like past vaccines, you are given the directions or the mRNA to make part of the virus. Specifically, we're talking about the spike protein of the coronavirus. And when you're given the directions to make that antigen, you're essentially making your own antigen and in turn producing an immunogenic response having the same effect. The Pfizer vaccine has been proven to be 90% efficient, and to date, there has been no serious side effects. Most serious side effects can be seen within 6 weeks of the vaccination. And the Pfizer vaccine, unlike other late stage testing, must be kept super cooled on dry ice around 100 degrees below zero from the time it is produced until a few days before it is injected. So the storage of it can be a little hard. Moderna works about the same way. It still uses mRNA to inject parts of the virus genetic code so the immune system can copy the virus and develop a protective response. It must be kept in cold conditions, and currently they're seeking FDA emergency authorization. So this is a diagram to help you see what parts of the virus I'm talking about. So when I say the spike protein, I'm talking about right here with the purple part that you see right here. That is the spike protein that they are creating. And essentially, the spike protein is what allows the virus to infect a human cell. So the next vaccine we're going to talk about is AstraZeneca. So research at the University of Oxford working with AstraZeneca built their vaccine using a virus called an adenovirus, which causes common colds in chimpanzees. So using this adenovirus, they were able to genetically alter its DNA so that it would carry a gene for COVID through a protein called a spike protein. Because the immune system would be able to recognize the spike protein in the adenovirus and would build a protective response, it would also mirror over to the response against COVID, as it also has a spike protein. And as of right now, there's no other fully developed vaccine using this method other than AstraZeneca and a vaccine called Sputnik V, which is being distributed in Russia. This spring, AstraZeneca had been testing its vaccines in countries such as Great Britain, Brazil, and the United States. And from their trials, they were able to conclude that an initial half dose of the vaccine, followed up by a full dose a month later, was much more effective when compared to a full dose followed by another full dose. The total effectiveness with both initial half dose and the initial full dose combined was 70% without the data from the US participants included. Although this may be lower than the Pfizer and Moderna, it's the easiest to handle and the cheapest vaccine. The vaccine must be stored in a normal freezer, but it can be kept in a refrigerator for up to a month. In addition, AstraZeneca has declared that they will not be seeking any profits from the vaccine. So, as of right now, the estimated cost for the vaccine is only about $2.50 per dose, making this vaccine is very favorable to less developed countries. Currently, AstraZeneca is moving forward by seeking emergency use authorization from the World Health Organization. So, what does this mean for us? So, there's still no cure. Remdesivir is only a supplementary treatment. It's not a cure, so this is just to help get people out of the hospital. Hopefully, in the future, we will have a cure. Please still wear a mask. We don't know, or we don't have the data to know if the vaccines will also stop transmission. These vaccines are only to prevent the symptoms of COVID-19. So asymptomatic spread is still possible. We still need to keep our social distance and be sure to follow the CDC guidelines and the guidelines of your area. Distribution takes time. Frontline workers need it most as they are constantly exposed to the virus. So, everyone may not get it at once. It takes time. So, please be patient. Everyone should be able to get the vaccine eventually. And actually, along with how cheap the AstraZeneca vaccine is, the Moderna and Pfizer would cost around $19 per dose. And, both of these vaccines have 2 doses. That's kind of expensive, but the US government may be paying for those vaccines. So everyone should be able to get a vaccine no matter their income. So keep pushing through. There's hope for the future and keep social distancing, wearing a mask, stay safe. Let's keep a positive mindset for the future. So, thank you guys so much for watching. All of our social medias will be linked in the description below. We have a website, an Instagram, Facebook, and we even have a podcast that you can actually listen to here on YouTube or on the Spotify app. We on the podcast we have some amazing women sharing their stories as well as, their careers and how they got there. So definitely go check that out. Again, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comment them down below, what your thoughts are, what you want to see. We're trying to have a theme for each month. So tell us what you want to see. We want to hear what you guys would like to see. We upload every Thursday. So be on the lookout. Subscribe, like, turn on your notifications, share it with your friends. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving and have a great day. Bye.